The word networking has way too much pressure, and I think it's a very fake word, because then you're forcing yourself into conferences, events, trying to build connections, whatever that means. Indian freelancers struggle with confidence, so they can't talk to prospects. They let the other person decide the prices. They let the other person make all those decisions which you don't want.
So, hello Ms. Shreya, welcome to Arithmós 6.0's first ever podcast. We are extremely glad to have you here. Firstly, me and my team would like to congratulate you for you have been in this industry for 6 years, and since your first 5 viral LinkedIn posts, you have been growing ever since. So, brief introduction about today's guest. Ms. Shreya over here has been a student of Trinity College Dublin and has been doing freelancing since her college days. She has also been the head of the PR department of the Trinity Entrepreneurial Society, and she now runs a successful agency in Dubai. So welcome Ms. Shreya to this podcast.
Thank you.
So let's begin.
Yeah.
So what ignited your passion in writing?
I think that came from how I grew up, essentially, because in my family, we've always grown up around books. We've always grown up around writing. My dad really liked writing. We were, very involved in stories and, having movie nights, really talking about how those stories were built out, what was the takeaway from it, what could have been done better. And I think all of that kind of led to inspiring writing, that I want to share my own ideas, I want to write my own stories, and that's how it started.
So with your good oration skills, I think you have done a lot of public speaking during your school and college days.
Yeah.
So if you could elaborate something on that.
Yeah, I think school was great for me in terms of having that exposure to public speaking. My teachers were a huge help because they saw from a young age that I was good on stage, I was confident speaking in front of people, I knew how to hold a mic, I knew how to, just talk. And the first time I got on stage was when I was 5, and we had our annual sports day. And I was supposed to give, I believe, a welcome or a thank you speech. And, all the students, their parents, everyone was there. So after that, once my teachers saw that, they always put my name forward for any sort of speaking events, any sort of anchoring, hosting. Podcasting was not a thing back then. It was not common at all. But otherwise, greeting or welcoming the guests for events or talking to them or, even anchoring certain events, I was very much a part of that. So that's where it started, from having that exposure and from having some people who were actually pushing me to do more of that. So that was really helpful.
Definitely. Even I was a part of the drama committee. And once when I had to get on stage about when I was 6 years old, I forgot my lines and I felt very embarrassed and I ran off the stage. But that made me learn a lesson that you have to remember your lines, you have to do what you have to do. Yeah. And if you could give some oration tips or pointers which could help college students to defeat their stage fright, that would be really good.
I think you're speaking really well, to be honest, and it doesn't seem like this is your first podcast shoot. And I'm sure you're very young, and of course you're still in college. And I just asked you before, have you done this? And you said, I'm part of drama clubs and I've done a few speaking things here and there. That's the only thing that can help you improve your speaking skills, or that can help you become really good at it, just being a part of these things. So if you're interested in drama, or even if you're not interested, but you want to have that opportunity to improve your speaking skills, especially public speaking, you have to be in public. You can't practice this in front of a mirror and think, oh, I'm a good speaker. I think everyone has a different kind of confidence in by themselves. They're a different person. They can really be comfortable. But it's different when you're shooting a podcast with cameras in front of you. There's 3 right now. It's different when you have a small team or a small meeting of, let's say, 10 people. Maybe you had one, among your committee right now before you had the shoot. It's different when you're speaking and addressing an audience of 100 people. Yeah. So you have to put yourself in all of these different positions and see how you feel about each of them and then improve. So I would say, especially if you're in college, you should put yourself out there, because standing in front of a mirror and me going, okay, let's stand and practice how to speak, that's not public speaking. Yeah. That's not going to help.
So alongside oration skills, writing skills are also equally important. Mm-hmm. So what made you hone and master your writing skills?
it just came very naturally to me. I think everyone has a particular form of expression. For you, you said drama very excitedly. I also noticed that. So I'm sure it comes very intrinsically to you. Nobody had to push you to do that. It was very similar for me in that sense. Writing was the way that I felt, okay, I can crib about how much I hate math, like when I was, 6, 7, 8 years old. Or I can talk about certain things without me thinking that I have to speak in front of someone or that I have to be perfect in my expression. I can just write. So that was really helpful. And the way I honed it was, again, practice. And I was actually thinking about it a few days ago because I wrote something on Twitter and my dad responded saying that this is superbly written and it flows really well. But since I started writing, I think the major feedback I had from my parents was that you write well, but it's just not connecting. It's not cohesive. It's not making sense. So now when I write something, if it takes me 5 minutes to write, but it's a really good piece, it's because for 10, 15 years, I didn't really have that. So it's kind of a learning experience.
So it takes 5 years to accomplish that 5-minute masterpiece. And definitely that's a lot of practice. So what other qualities do you like to see in a freelancer?
In a freelancer, I think having good listening skills, definitely important, because when you think about freelancing, it's not just about doing the work, it's about doing the work in a way that appeals to the client as well. So that means feedback loops, that means also negotiation, that means confidence in how you conduct yourself, and confidence in closing the deal, confidence in actually carrying out the deal once you've closed it. And a lot of this comes back to active listening, right? Because when you listen, you can actually read between the lines as to if they're saying it's expensive, okay, what are they really trying to say? How can I dig deeper into this and kind of find the proper issue so that then I can solve it and then I have a baseline to negotiate on. So I think active listening is a very helpful thing.
Definitely.
And second would be composure. I think it's a skill that can be learned, having composure in how you conduct yourself, because all these different situations happen. Literally while on the car ride here, I had some fires going out with some client, like, okay, what's going on with this and that? So you just have to have composure, because the very next minute you're probably on camera, the very next minute you're having a conversation. And I don't think it should affect you as a person on a personal level. It should also not affect other people around you. It should definitely not affect your family. So composure is a very important skill to learn.
Definitely. So as you said, so you started entrepreneurship in Dubai. So as you converted yourself from a freelancer to an agency owner in Dubai.
Yeah.
So what was that transition like?
That has always been very challenging, because I think a lot of people think that starting an agency means, oh, you have a team, you have an office, and now it's all set, right? But it's not that way. I think it's so much more responsibility. The first thing I've learned is it's extreme responsibility. You're responsible not only for your clients and for yourself. Now you're responsible for a team and to some extension their families. You're responsible for their responsibilities, right? Whatever they do, you have to be in a position to be answerable for all of that. You are just taking on responsibility for 10 more people. So I think that was the biggest learning curve. And what it's like having an agency is basically just pushing yourself harder, because you know that it's not just you anymore. It's so many other people. And I think the other aspect is, like, I will just bring it down. Everything about agency comes to people management, because that's the biggest difference, right, between having an agency versus working solo. It's the people that you work with. So also, dealing with hiring and firing are so difficult conversations. Till date, firing is a very difficult conversation to have. So that's something to learn. And I would also say, in terms of processes, kind of understanding how do you keep improving those things? How do you teach something that you know to somebody else and make sure that they're doing it in at least a similar standard, if not the exact same? So those would be a few things that I've learned and, have to constantly keep working on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what do you say that, what is your take on degree or experience or skill? So what do you say, that is degree more important, or if a person is just skillful enough for the job, that matters more?
When I'm hiring?
Yeah.
A lot of people that we're working with right now are actually students. So they are still in university. And if they're able to manage, like, what we care about is, are you able to balance out both your university requirements and also your work here? Because this is a commitment you chose to take up. Nobody's forcing you.
Yeah.
So balancing that out. I would say overall, I don't think there is something that is an either or scenario. I in no way encourage that you should leave your degree to kind of pursue only a skill or only get experience. And the reason I say that is because a degree, it really depends as to which college you're studying in. You study in quite a prestigious university. Mumbai, everyone knows NM, for example, right? If I tell my friends, oh, I had students from NM reach out, I told some of my friends, they were like, wow, that's so cool. So everyone knows what NM is, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is opportunities that you get in college. So for me, I studied in Trinity, for example. And there, the best thing that happened was they were always calling the biggest people on the planet for interviews, for podcasts, to conduct workshop sessions. I had a lot of exposure. I had a lot of exposure to entrepreneurs, to business. I met, at the time, he was the Prime Minister of Ireland. I met the CEO of LinkedIn, which was one of the first posts that I wrote that went viral, was about meeting him. That kickstarted everything. If you've watched the movie Marley and Me, that was based on a book. And I've met the author of that book. So I've met so many people, just had conversations because I was in the kind of environment that allowed that. So again, if you go to a good university that can give you that exposure, I think that is so much more important, because once you're working by yourself, getting a network is extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. So if you have college, that is your best place to kind of try everything. You can be a part of so many clubs. It probably won't cost you anything extra. You're learning so many things without having to attend paid classes. You're just exposing yourself to different things. So if you're in university, don't drop it. That's never something I recommend. But if you're in university, don't just study. Only studying won't get you anywhere. Put yourself out there.
So time management and a degree and skill both go hand in hand, as you're
Yes.
saying.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So are you trying to, so will you be in the future expand, as you, in your agency, you have been following LinkedIn and content creation towards that.
Yeah.
So will you be expanding to other apps?
To other apps as a service?
Catering, yeah.
Right.
Catering further.
We keep doing a mix. We keep seeing what's working, what's not. I do more than run my agency, so I have multiple verticals along my content creation thing as well. I'm always looking to get into, I talk to people who run products, who run edtech, who run some sort of software. So definitely expand in that way. There are other things I want to do. So agency is one of the things that's working right now. So keep balancing that out along with the new things that I would like to do.
As people say, network is net worth.
Yeah.
So what is your take on network? That as a freelancer, people are generally solo or agency owners like you.
Mm-hmm.
So how does networking help them?
See, I think the word networking has way too much pressure, and I think it's a very fake word, because then you're forcing yourself into conferences, events, trying to build connections, whatever that means. Connections are only for LinkedIn. That's a feature on LinkedIn. That's how it should be approached. When you are networking, or whatever you call that, it should actually just be having a conversation. You should talk to people, take the pressure of expecting something from them. Like you and I sitting here, you shouldn't, of course, there's a podcast going on. If you have different ideas, something you would like to talk about, something you want advice on, something you want to share with me, let's say, for example, then it really helps when you don't have expectations that, oh, Shreya's going to give me all the answers, or she's going to invest in my first startup, because that makes it very natural, that makes it easier, and that makes it also the other person more free to help you, to be in a position to help you, because you're not expecting that. So maybe I can't help you. Maybe I know somebody else who can. Or maybe this is just not the right timing. I'll be like, yeah, you're doing great stuff, but right now I can't help you. But let me keep you in mind because this is interesting. Or in that sense. So I think my advice is that, again, you have to show up. You have to basically go up and say hi to as many people as possible. Introduce yourself and ask questions. I think asking questions is the best way. People love talking about themselves. That's why we love doing podcasts, because we love talking about ourselves. So people love sharing their story. It makes them feel heard. It makes them feel important. Especially, I'm saying, in one-to-one conversations. Not a lot of people do that. Typically, they just go up and they start talking about themselves, right? So if you're able to make that person feel comfortable, like, hey, you seem interesting and I just want to get to know you, they will give you their time. So I think that's the best way to kind of start a conversation and keep up.
Definitely. A heart-to-heart conversation goes a long way.
Yeah.
So as you said, you have a network in India and Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you set up your agency in Dubai and not in India if this was your home?
Because where you live doesn't mean like you have to stay there forever. That's definitely the thing. I studied abroad. I definitely wanted to have that international exposure. I wanted to be abroad. Dubai was basically, it was an attempt, right? So I didn't know what would happen next. Even with my college, when I started my degree, I didn't know what would happen next because I studied literature and philosophy. And people always say, like, you don't get a job with literature. You don't get a job studying philosophy. Like, what are you supposed to do? I didn't think that far ahead. I didn't think of what do I want to do. I was just like, right now, I know that I want to go to this college. We will see what happens. The same thing happened with Dubai because once I decided that, I'm done with college, I want to start my own thing. Dubai had many opportunities for entrepreneurs to set up there very easily. Dubai is definitely, they want to invite people to set up. Most of, like, I believe 5,000 or 6,000 HNIs from India have moved abroad, out of which about 50% have moved to Dubai. Or they've set up something in Dubai. They have property in Dubai. So it's definitely become the hub where everyone is. Again, you can meet all kinds of people. Last week, I was at an event where I met Chris too. And I didn't meet him, but I had a chance to watch an interview with Grant Cardone. So those things just kind of happen. Like you have billionaires, multi-billionaires just kind of walking around. And that exposure was definitely important. So it was like, okay, let's see how it works out. For the last 3 years, it's been good. So I'm like, okay, we'll continue here and maybe next somewhere else. So yeah.
So what do you see in the scope of India for a freelance market?
I don't think that a freelance market has to be seen by scope of a country. That's the whole point of, being a freelancer, that you can work with anyone, anywhere. The only thing is that as Indians, there are certain traits that an Indian freelancer has that I know that needs a lot of work. For example, communication and confidence. Confidence is the biggest thing I see. A lot of Indian freelancers struggle with confidence. So they can't talk to prospects. They let the other person decide the prices. They let the other person, make all those decisions, which you don't want. If you're a freelancer, you are an expert in your field, you're good at what you do, then you want to be calling the shots. You are an equal. You're not like, okay, this client is above and I'm here. No, you're an equal. You're both negotiating this deal. So that kind of thing, that would be the first thing I would say in terms of, struggling with confidence. Body language, struggling to go up and talk to people, struggling with even shaking hands confidently, things like that, right? Those are the preliminary things. The second would be communication. So improving your English skills is very, very important. And I mean that in terms of writing, speaking, also in terms of comprehension, of course. Again, like I said, feedback, you get feedback, you have to be able to comprehend it, right? So that you can apply it.
Right.
And so listening, speaking, talking, writing, and also comprehension, all of that. The third thing I would say that I see in a lot of Indian freelancers is entitlement, extreme entitlement of what should be possible in a short span of time. Otherwise, extreme entitlement as to what is the pay scale versus the effort kind of ratio there, right? So that needs to improve as well. I don't think freelancing comes easy. There's a notion that it's easy. It's going to be making you money quickly. It's not going to take a lot of effort or time. Those are all false things, and you have to work hard. So, and like not being entitled is definitely going to help a lot of Indian freelancers as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If I were an aspiring freelancer in India, so what would you recommend me if I was going to college and I needed to do it part-time or just started?
Yeah.
Because I was just curious. So
I think you need to pick one option, right? Like what kind of skill would you like to pursue? And maybe it's a skill that you're already doing in some sort of, let's say, college fest. Maybe you're organizing a lot of things. Maybe you are managing the social media for the fest. Maybe you're inviting speakers. So let's say you already have those certain skills that you just haven't thought that you could freelance in. So you pick some of those skills and decide, okay, what is potentially something I could freelance in? So let's say you're managing social media. You could potentially do social media management for other clients. Now it would be good to reach out to, let's say, your favorite creators, your favorite brands, and just offer them to work for free. Say that you've managed a big fest with like 5,000 attendees, whatever that may be. Say that you actually made sure that the social media presence was up to date. You were doing like live posting while the event was going on. Your post had likes and comments from this person, that person. Like all of those are actually testimonials, right? You can use that. If you're a videographer at the event, a photographer at the event, if you're the anchor, the host, whatever you may be, if you're just on the back end, you're kind of, even the technician, making sure that all the lights and the mic is working properly. All these roles are something you have potential to freelance in. So then you reach out to people and you tell them that I have done this. I know I'm a student, but this is what I've done in college. Ask them for free opportunities. Ask them for a call. Ask them if they know someone that could, find this skill of yours of value and work for them for free for 1 or 2 months. Just work and do good work, right? That's how you build your portfolio, your experience, your case study. And that's how you kind of get the confidence that, yes, I can work with people. And then you reach out to more people like that. Again, start with your favorite brand, start with your favorite creators, whoever that may be. If you know anyone in your college itself who you could ask for more connections, do that. Maybe your professors know someone. And keep reaching out and keep asking for opportunities. So if you don't ask, then you don't know what you can get.
Yeah. So how do you keep up with the trends in content creation?
The trends are, like, the thing about trends nowadays is that everyone hops on them instantly. So it's very difficult for you to not be on board. As long as you spend enough time on social media and in that particular industry, it's very rare that you won't be on board with that particular trend. So that, of course, means a little overusage of your phone, etc. But that's just like an occupational hazard, so to speak. But I think, let's say for research, for example, it really helps if you go through 5 main competitors for yourself or for your clients, whatever that may be. Go through and see what they are doing. These are competitors that are doing well. These are not just what maybe the client assumes as competitors, but in the industry, okay, who are the top 5 or 10 people? And then narrow it down to who are the top people who are more closer to your client. And then really study what they're doing. Study what kind of content they're creating, what kind of trends are they hopping on, are they getting on those trends or not, where are they finding those trends, are they more TikTok, are they more Instagram, what kind of CTAs are they using, what kind of people are engaging with the content, what questions are people asking in their comment section, can you use that to create content? Because if you have the same target audience, they have the same problems. So can you use that to create content? So I think instead of being all over the place, there is somebody out there who is just doing a very prompt job of just, being updated. Follow them and do what they're doing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Don't copy, but you find a lot of answers just because you know where to look. So that's where you look.
So with the born of artificial intelligence, how can you really authenticize that if a person has written this or an AI and he has just copy pasted it?
I don't think it matters, right? Overall, I don't think anyone cares where the content is coming from. It's more like, is this of help to me? Even quality, like nobody reads a piece of content and thinks, oh, is this good quality? No, it's more like, how did I feel? Like, is it making me feel anything? Like, do I feel good about reading it? Is this well written? Like, did it move me? Did it force me to read the whole post? Did it anger me maybe? Is it annoying me? Do I want to, comment in a very angry manner? Is it making me want to comment? Is it making me want to, share it with my friends and be like, look, you're free. You have to read this post. You have to watch this reel. We do that with memes, for example. Those, I don't think that's quality content. You wouldn't put that as quality or did AI create it. We just send memes because they feel good. We hope that when our friend sees it, they would laugh. That's it. So it's something like that where you have to kind of think of, okay, is it of help to someone? Depends again on your niche. So I am teaching freelancing on my social media. I don't want to just talk about freelancing. I don't want to say, here are 3 things you could do. I want to share my experience and my stories. That's what's different between me and AI. Maybe we have the same advice, but the way I say it will make you see it very differently because you will realize I have gone through that experience. And also you will enjoy reading it because I'm telling a story. I'm not just saying, here are 3 things you should do. Maybe I'm saying that, but again, I'm saying it with a story. So that's the first thing. And I would say the second thing is also who says it matters a lot. So if I'm saying it versus let's say I already have a brand, people trust me. So when I say something, people, again, it won't really matter if it's AI or not. As long as it's coming from Shreya, for example, it has a different impact already because people trust me. So this is just an example. I don't use, I write all my own content because I'm a writer at heart. So I have to write. But yeah, otherwise, even like who is it coming from? That's a very important question as well.
Here and there, help from AI does not matter that.
Yeah, that's fine, of course.
So if you could explain, like, as you said, you were at TE as the Trinity Entrepreneurial Society.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the main work which they had to do for comedy experience?
Okay. So in our university, we had multiple societies, and the entrepreneurship one, I got into it because I was very involved in entrepreneurship. I was involved in, I pitched my startup idea. I won some funding for it. I was conducting workshops. I was part of workshops. I went through multiple rounds of pitching for various different competitions. So I did all of that. And one of the things I did while in this process was I joined the society as a member, just to have that exposure. Okay, what are the kinds of events that they're hosting? So again, they used to invite speakers, or they had a lot of student founders within the university, within the committee, that they would invite to speak. So they would talk about how to launch a startup or how to start a startup. They would talk about the importance of websites. They would talk about investors, how to get investors, how to pitch. So it was just a lot of good exposure towards that. And with all my involvement, I used to tell people a lot about tests. We had quite a few new members come in. So one year, I decided like I want to be a part of the committee. So I joined, I believe I took the PR role because I wanted to again be involved in social media. So I wrote a few articles for them every time I attended an event. Like if it was a pitching event, I would note down what the pitches were. And then I would go back and I would write an article, kind of like a PR article about the event, what happened, who won the award, things like that. And we published it out on our blog. So this is actually, I'm remembering this after quite a long time because I haven't thought about it. So yeah, good refresher also.
So before we end the video, one message to the aspiring freelancers here.
I'm assuming, of course, everyone's a student as well. So I want to say that if you are taking a freelance role, remember that this is again a commitment you chose. So if it gets too much and you're not able to manage it, you have to either find a way, or maybe you can decide to leave it, that's fine. But remember that the other person who's your client is relying on you for something. So every time you think that this is fine, it's okay, I just need to focus on my college, this is a side thing I'm doing, remember that there's a real business owner who needs your help and who's trusting you to do a certain thing within a certain time, whatever that may be. So if you're taking on responsibility, make sure you are sticking to it. And the second thing I would say is, I think there are always ways to balance things out. But if you are doing university and you're doing freelancing, it's demanding, it's challenging, and it requires sacrifices. I'm a different breed of a person, but like I didn't go out for most of my university. I went to college and then I was home and I was working. That was my routine for like 2 years, basically before COVID hit and all of that happened. And then we were in our room 24/7. But other than that, it requires sacrifices. So yes, have fun, have your time off, go out, hang out with friends. But you have to also be very comfortable saying no so that you can actually work on things that you really, really want to.
Thank you, Ms. Shreya, for these resourceful insights. And we are glad to have you here as our first guest.
Thank you.
Big thank you from the Arithmós team.